again, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my little plant room, my little set. I feel like it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here. I've done a couple of plant tours. I haven't really gotten to sit down and chat with you guys. So welcome back. If you are new here, take a moment, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I try to post every Saturday or Sunday. Most days it's Saturdays. Every once in a while I'll post on a Sunday, just depending on how my work schedule has gone that week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. I wanted to sit down and chat with you guys a little bit more about semi-hydroponics and how I maintain and care for my plants. My initial thought was to walk you guys through that whole process of how I water and feed my plants and maintain those plants, but in all reality, it's very, very similar to how I actually go ahead and convert to semi-hydro. So I'll go ahead and link to that video so that you can go watch that video for the full setup, and I'll reference that video several times. If you haven't already, go take a moment, watch that video, and then come back here when you're ready to talk about how to maintain your plants once they are in semi-hydro. So the question that I get asked is, how often do I feed or care for my plants that are in semi-hydro? So the first step is that I just keep an eye on the water levels. That one is kind of the basic day-to-day care. If I notice that water level is getting down really, really low, maybe like 1/4 of an inch of water in the bottom of the pot, I will go ahead and fill it back up to about 1/3 of the way up in the pot. So I have my cover pot and I have my plant. I would fill normally about 1/3 of the way up. And if I notice it's getting way down here, I'll go ahead and add some water, which makes it super easy for just my day-to-day life. I can pop by after school and go around and water some plants. I'm not having to do like the full, take it to the sink, drain it, bring it back, that kind of thing. So that has been the first thing that I've really enjoyed about semi-hydro, and that's the first thing I do to maintain my plants on like a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. So the next step would be maintaining the feeding of my plants. So since they are in the leca, there is not any soil, there's no nutrients in that soil. So I have to go ahead and add those nutrients back in. And when I'm adding water, I'm just adding that pH balanced water to my plants. I'm not adding any extra nutrients. So on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, I'm not adding those nutrients back in. I'm just making sure that it has sufficient water. So about every 2 to 3 weeks, I go ahead and do a full drain and refeed of my plants. Now, I know some other YouTubers will say, oh, I do this every 2 weeks, or I do this on a regularly scheduled basis. And I like to just keep it real with you guys. I get super busy, and so it really does depend. Could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, but I like to do all of my semi-hydro plants at once so that I know they're on that same schedule. Like I said, it tends to work out. 1 month it might be every 2 weeks, and then it might go 3 weeks, but I haven't noticed any negative side effects from doing that. I just try to keep it on a regular, like every few Saturdays, I'm going through and doing this to my plants. So what I do to kind of take care of my plants and refeed them and drain them is I'll take them over to the sink and I'll do a complete drain. Now you might notice that your leca starts to get a little bit of kind of white buildup on it. I'll see if I can find a couple good. This plant hasn't had too much of a problem, but some of mine get really like a lot of white crusty stuff on the leca, and that's perfectly normal. That's just the nutrients that are still there. As the water evaporates, they didn't get absorbed by the plant. It may mean that you're adding too many nutrients to your water, but it is really normal. So unless you're noticing that like in a week, the whole thing is just like all of your leca is completely white, I wouldn't worry too much about that. So I'll take it to the sink, I'll do a complete flush with water. Now, most of the time I just leave the plant, the leca as it is. If it's a newer plant, I might go ahead and take it out of the soil and take it out of the leca and go ahead and rearrange it a little bit if I've noticed that some particular stems have died off or there's a lot of roots that need to be rinsed away. I don't worry about it too much with most plants. The one plant that I would say that I take out of the leca, completely drain, make sure that all the leca is completely clean, would be with my orchids. Now, this orchid has been in leca for several months now, I think. And so it is doing pretty well. It is pretty much completely converted. But that first month or so, I really took time and would take the orchid out. It's got those big, thick roots, and as they rotted off, that would tend to get caught up in that debris would tend to get caught in the leca, and it needed a little bit more of a full rinse. Whereas any other plant might have a little bit thinner roots, like my calathea that I've converted, my maranta has a little bit thinner roots, so I'm not so worried about it actually getting stuck in the leca. It'll rinse out. Those roots are so tiny that it will rinse out and not build up any sort of rotting material in the leca. So I go ahead and give those plants just a full and complete flush, just rinsing everything out, and then I will add it back to the pot and add a little bit of my nutrient mix. So I only add the nutrient mix when I do this complete flush. Like I said, about every 2 to 3 weeks, I will add, and I've mixed up already. If you want that complete recipe, you can reference that video where I convert to semi-hydroponics. Exact same mixture. It's been pH balanced. It's got the food. It's got the Super Thrive in it. And this, I will just add and fill up 1/3 of the way, just like I did when I first converted it over to semi-hydroponics. And that rhythm seems to work really well for the plants. So they get a little bit of water in between feedings, making sure that they have enough hydration, and then feeding it just about every 2 to 3 weeks. The other thing that I wanted to touch on really quick, some of you may recognize this variegated maranta from my converting to semi-hydro video. And then I also referenced it a little bit in my plant tour, which I'll also link to. So this has been in semi-hydro for about a month now. So it's pretty well along the way of the conversion process. I just wanted to mention a couple things about how it converts, what to look for, things like that. So you'll notice that there's not really any leaves that are curling or drooping anymore. Those first couple weeks, you might notice that significantly. And in fact, I had a couple leaves that I had to cut off because they went full yellow. Usually I've noticed it's older leaves, old growth, things that just can't take that conversion. But for the most part, this plant has converted, and it started to go back to perking up. It started to go back with the marantas in particular. It'll start to go back to praying and moving those leaves up and down from morning to night. So that's how I've kind of kept an eye on this one. And notice, I just want you to know that it will look a little scary for a little while. You will get some leaves curling up, you will get some leaves dying off, and here's about a month into the process. Like I said, I think this is pretty fully converted. I might take it out of the semi-hydro today when I do my rinsing and refeeding, and just check on those roots, make sure, but I do see some signs of new growth happening kind of in here. So I'm not too terribly worried about it. I think this one took the conversion really well, and I think it will continue to thrive in the semi-hydroponics. So I think that does it for today's video. As usual, if you found this content helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really does help out the videos and the channel. And if you have any specific questions about how I maintain my semi-hydro plants, please leave that question down in the comments below. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. I don't have experience with every single plant in semi-hydro. Like I said, I'm still kind of new to it, so I'm trying to share my journey with you guys as I'm going along. I'm trying to share my experience a little bit as I go along so that you guys will know what to expect as you're new, as you learn things, as you're reaching 1 month in semi-hydro, 2 months in semi-hydro, what happens if my plant does this, those kinds of things. So I will try to answer any questions that you guys have, and please let me know also if you'd like to see more videos about semi-hydroponics, maybe even specific questions. What kind of things do you guys want to see about semi-hydro, or are you just sick to death of all of the semi-hydro talk? Thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you guys again next week with another video. I think I have a couple more plant tours coming soon now that spring is here and people are getting shipments of some of these cool plants. I think I want to take you guys along and do some more plant shopping tours. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye.